Hi. Do you find it interesting that a seminary in Roman law, Roman Catholicism, seminary comes from the Latin word seminarium, which means seedbed? And what is semen? And what do they do to the children? So we know what the priests do to the children, but do we know what the priests do to the world of children? We all once were. Do we know? I went to school. We all went to school. And we were all given curriculum through the United Nations, in which is not the original name of the United Nations. It was the League of Nations, same flag. But before that, there was no League of Nations. Similar flag, we had the Roman Empire. And we're still living by the Julian calendar, 12-month distorted day calendar. No way to track the lunar cycles or the sun cycles truly through the calendar we've been provided. Pope Julian. He said, we came, we saw, we conquered. Saw what? Something. Saw the world and conquered the world. Did you ever wonder why in 2019 every town hall in the world, think of a city, not Rome, think of a city, look up the town hall, it's a Roman temple. Look at the top, it's a clock, it's a Roman clock, Roman empirical clock. So when we say things like, all roads lead to Rome, do we believe in Liberal and Labour? Do we believe in politics in the way that we have been given them? A platform of options where you can choose this as a option, or you can choose this, the left or the right path, and then you've got the little middle parties in between. Do you believe that this system is truly electing people rather than selecting people? In school, on television, History Channel, Discovery Channel, both owned by Knights of Malta, knighted by the Queen, guardianed by the Vatican. History Channel and Discovery Channel, owned by the Vatican. Who would have thought? So when you turn on the History Channel, when Rome fell, 410 AD, did Rome fall? Because that's the most popular thing you'll see on the History Channel is how Rome fell, just putting it in there. But do we want it in there? The book burners, the inquisitors, the same building the Inquisition was guardianed from in Rome, and on the top of the building it had embellished the Inquisition, but they changed the embellishment on the building to what's known today as the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faiths, Inquisition. Congregating, bringing together all of the doctrines of the faiths. That's Inquisition. Who guardians it, who runs the Inquisition today, is the Inquisitor. And where are we? Rome wasn't built in a day. Is it still being built? So we know what the priests did to the children. You won't meet someone that doesn't know of this, but they want us talking about this, perhaps. They sure don't want people talking about rite of passage and magic craft. Black nobility, school of mysteries, Babylonian priesthoods of Baal. Do you know the Aboriginals of Australia? Aboriginal means not original. Ab as a prefix means not. They are the original people. But the original people of Australia, they know about sovereignty law. They know about many things. And what we what we don't acknowledge that they know is everything that we've fallen from. And who is the largest culture under attack today? Absolutely. And I read in the history books, in the Encyclopedia Britannica from the 17th century, hundreds of years old, Terra Nullius, when we came, no man's land. And how they depicted these people was savage. What I see is wisdom, divine wisdom, and they know everything about the land, the sky, the animals, the plants, the human domain, and they know about the energy field running through all of it that connects us as one ethereal, connected cycle of life. And we are in the most godless society, don't like to use the word, but we are in the most godless society that we have ever seen. And who push this agenda? The purpose of the Vatican is to destroy astrology and the connection of the energies that bring us into being and us being able to attach to that. Is it possible that there's more to life than work and play? Because if I go back to Kemet, Egypt if you like, if I go back to Kemet and I stand at the Sphinx, Sphinx is a white man's word, the Sphinx to the Kemites was Haru, and Aketi. Haru, the head of the priests, and Aketi, the cat. And it represented to the people to master the animal domain, the wilderness in us, while rising to our highest spiritual domain, becoming wise as dwellers of the divine, stolen from the people from who? So when you wake up in the morning and life seems like really Truman, who wrote that movie? Do you understand Hollywood? When the Hollywood was the wood that the pagans would collect to craft wands. Black stone handles, wood wand, copper up the coil, quartz amplified, copper or gold on the tip. This is how a cathedral is built. This is a divining tool for the ether, which is electric. Roman Catholic funded Albert Einstein. The agenda of him was to disprove the ether, and he did, and now we don't believe that the air is electric. It does not conduct a medium for vibration, but you can hear me, so therefore it is proof that it does. It's irrefutable that it is. How do you send Wi-Fi? But more importantly, how do we connect? Do you ever feel someone looking at the back of your head and you look back and someone's there looking at you because you feel it? Because you're not disconnected fully? How do you amplify these things? So this is what Rome doesn't want us talking about. Rome does not want us rising to our highest intellects. If you go into Rosicrucianism, if you go into the Supreme Council of 33, the Order of the Golden Axe, any high decree of Masonry, none of them eat bodies of animals. And I know this. I've seen this. And I know people in the craft. In Egypt, only the slaves ate meat. And animal excretions, which is poison, and it kills you, and they know this. So where was Rome built? I truly believe that we are in a part of the world where we have a great opportunity to be vigilant and to not take shit from anyone who tries to strip away our freedoms individually, not as a congregation. No one's coming to save us as a group. We have to pull ourselves out of disharmony and You can't do that by waiting for someone to come. If you look at all of the Masonic temples, Freemasonry comes from the Spanish word Freemesoneria, which means children of the light. So if you look at any of the temples of the children of light, who they believe are the enlightened ones, you will see that above the temple entrance it says in Latin, Ore ab chaos, order from chaos. Can you see the chaos? I see it everywhere, but it does not bring chaos to me. I know who's bringing it. I know the agenda. I know the hierarchy, and I am a very firm believer in externalizing the hierarchy so that people actually understand on an esoteric level, exoterically, bringing the hidden doctrines to the public so that the priests don't continue enlightenment paths so that we all can. But who are we and why did we come? And do you go to church on Sunday in a building away from the sun, hiding from Ra, God, the sun, the creator, the force? So what do we want from wherever we're going? Where are we going? Are we cycling in a system that doesn't make us feel good? I'm not, I'm free. And I feel so good. I feel so fucking amazing for even just stepping out in small quantities, not fully exiting. You see walls behind me, it's got electricity running through them. We're here, but what can we do with here? Because we have so much technology to bring us together, but what's it doing? So who's running that agenda? Who's bringing us apart? I recommend anybody who wants to know more about the true analysis of the recorded rhythms, never changing, the recorded rhythms of the cosmos, go find yourself in Indigenous Australia. Because one thing that I know for sure, and I feel it, is never trust a white man on black man's history. I go straight to the black man for black man knowledge, and I will not accept anyone ever saying like how we are different. That there should be no divide between black and white. How can we say that? Like, it's incomparable. Black culture controlled the whole world for the last thousands of years. This is the first hour on the clock of history where white man governs the throne, not a black woman. See what they did there? Do you know how the original Australians depicted and drew Australia? Upside down to how we draw it today. Do you know how the Egyptians depicted Africa? Upside down to how we have it drawn today. See what they did there? That's what they did. Nearly everything that's promulgated in our schools, if you want to know the truth, look for the reverse of what they're propagating, because it will blow your mind, because we have been given an opposite version on nearly everything that they could, so that we'd never find ourselves. And I see it. And out there every day, people are so confused. To who to be? Who's their example? Hollywood. Who's their favourite actor in the cast? Cast of magic. It's casting. We don't understand the scripting, the scribe. We don't understand the spells that are being cast through the director. Cut the Masonic symbolism, but we forget that MTV studios and most of the film clips on MTV today, Masonic TV, are filmed in a Masonic temple in the throne room. Who's who in the zoo? And if you don't know your enemy, How do you know what you're up against? Only if you want a path of truth. But if you don't desire that path, we are free and we can do whatever we want. But I believe we were put here to know more than what they wanted us to know, keeping a level of ignorance for us to be folded under. Plato, one of the first Illuminists, he wrote a treatise on how to control society in a pyramid structure, and he wrote eloquently on what would happen if people would awaken to the fact that they'd been cast under a spell, but how important it was to protect that knowledge, that they should never find that out. He wrote on and continued on how to counter that if that was to come about. So then we had the Counter-Reformation in the 16th century. How do you destroy the truth? Why don't you want us to have the truth? Because we're worthy, and because we love the truth, and we don't like secrets, if it's interesting enough to know the truth of. And where does the word secret come from? It comes from the word secrete, because all secrets will secrete. They'll all come to the surface, and the Vatican has been hiding for a long time, using the United Nations and all of the universities on the planet to fulfill their agenda, to amalgamate all the religions and government of the world for the cause of who? Not for the cause of you. So when the leader of Islam, the queen of the monarchy, the moon, when the representation of Isis on the planet today, that's who Queen Elizabeth is, Queen Isis. The same rituals as Pharaoh in Egypt. She is the representative of the moon goddess. That's why she's on the Monday. And that's why we call it Monday. There's no separation between the words, and that's a monastery and a monarchy because it's moon worship. And it's governed by a woman. Like in chess, on the Masonic board, the magnetic and the electric, on the Masonic board you build a pyramid, you sacrifice your peasants, and you use your bishops and your priests to protect the king and queen. The most powerful is the queen. She is the most dominant on the board, she is the most powerful. And in the occult, the woman is supreme at the top. That's why in all of the cultures, you have, all the way back to Babylon, you have the Trinity with the woman mentioned first. Semiramis, Tammuz, then the dove. The symbol of creation being the dove, and the symbol of creation of child, purity, peace, connection. And then you go further, you go to Egypt, and their Trinity. It was always the Trinity. It was always the nucleus, the proton and the electron. It was always the earth, the sun and the moon. The Trinity in Egypt was Isis, Horus, Set. Woman mentioned first. And in Rome, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. No mention of a woman, but the Father in astrology is the Sun. And the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit spiraling from the Sun for you to get your energy that spirals up the spine, Kundalini, Rainbow Serpent, Samshimra, whatever you like to call it. It's all the same energy, and we have been misled that we cannot become consciously higher evolved, but rather the industry of the elite would rather guide us into the Superman theory that we are still evolving. When Charles Darwin, 33rd degree Mason, didn't even write The Origin of Species, it was his grandfather. It all plays a part of the destruction of the feminine. And right now, this is the destruction of the feminine. There's a reason why the cathedral burnt down in Notre Dame. Notre Dame means Our Lady. And on the top of the temple was a statue of Our Lady of Alchemy. And if you read a book by Falconelli, the Italian author, has been translated in many languages. He writes eloquently about the mystery of the cathedral, including Notre Dame, and how they are encyclopedias on the wall, alchemical codes recorded, not for the uninitiated to understand. We will never know from the start to the end, from the alpha to the omega. We'll never know. They don't want that unless we seek a path for ourselves. What do we do with our days? Are we watching television every day, being entertained, rather than forming to be the entertainer? Are we listening to music all day, every day, not forming to being a musician? Are we forming to watching all of these things, dramas and horrors and all this fucking bullshit programming? Where's the inspiration? When you're so tired from watching TV that you fall into bed and you don't know where your energy went, but you don't understand the technology of the television and the frequencies that are put out. Do you hear the high-pitched frequency coming from your television when you turn it on? Do you know what that frequency does when it hits the nervous system of the human? It submits them, and it makes them easy to program. Do you understand how the television works? It is a military device, and it is being used against you, and it makes and breaks every pope and politician on the planet and the belief of many people. And the media, owned by the Vatican, the Medici family, that owns the medicine. And I've talked about that before. I think that we all have an opportunity to make the choice whether we want to go forward or whether we want to stay back. Go down spiral or go up. Do we live in hell or heaven? Do we live at the heels or the head? Do we live in the lower realms or the higher realms of intellect? Because even a fool can turn into a confident knowledge holder and seek any path for their life that they wish, and they will see that come to fruit. Because if we are all fool or intellect, there is no such thing as either. We all have the capacity to become more intelligent than we are, but then that will for sure evolve. But what do we want? So the destruction of the divine feminine is here. 850-year-old cathedral, see you later. It's a symbol, it's a symbolic reference, and it is an entry ceremony to the destruction of the feminine that is here now. And you see the same thing happening in Australia on Jabberung land. And Jabberung land is where the 850-year-old birthing trees are. The oldest ritual on the planet for birthing human. It's the same ritual we were all conducting. There was no difference between the tribes. We all gave birth in the hollow of a tree, knowing that the spirit of the tree takes the essence up, which is the soul. So, where did the gold from Kemet in Egypt, from the top of the pyramids, come from? Jabberung land in Australia. You look up where the biggest gold reserves are in the country, Ballarat and Ararat in Australia, Jabberung land, and they want to build a road and destroy these trees. But that's the front story. What do they really want when most of the world's gold is under the land? On the Song line, on the Dream line, on the Ley line, on the NASCAR line, on the Meridian line, whatever you like. It is a point that spirals energy or frequency naturally provided by the moon rays and the sun rays, creating electromagnetic frequency waves that send signal. What is Wi-Fi? Where do you think this technology came from? What is the iPhone? When you are the apple of my eye, the apple from the middle of the garden that should not have been picked, and it was the woman that picked the apple. The destruction of the divine feminine, it was Pandora that opened up the box. It's always been, how does every culture treat women? This is not influenced by each independent culture. This is an influence of the Vatican and the more that we can see the influence of the Vatican in all walks of life, militarily, educationally, and financially, we will see that Washington DC, London Dome, and Vatican are all connected. And we will see that we are free to step back and not follow the orders of the King and Queen, and to illuminate, just like Christos in the Christian Bible said, when thy eye be single, the whole body shall become like a lamp. Then he talks about the 7 lamps later on, which is the 7 chakras in Christianity. You see it everywhere in all the cultures. And it will be removed, and it's coming. And that's why you see the leader of Islam, the Queen, Pope, the Dalai Lama, all coming out right now saying, in the last 5 years, now is the time to bring a new religion to the world. So, what do we know? You think the Dalai Lama is Hindu? He's not. Not at all. And what we have is a whole field of knowledge supplied wherever we go. But we don't want it collectively. But I see more people becoming collectively engaging in the knowledge, esoteric knowledge, hidden from we the people. And it's beautiful, and I love it. And I see more people becoming aware of toxicology, what's actually happening to the food, to the water, to the air. Why? Why bromine in the air that breaks down your bones? Why spray that? Why spray that? Why aluminium? Why spray luminous particles in the air, which restricts our breath, depletes our oxygen? Strontium. Why spray strontium into the air? And strontium makes your bones weaker, strips away the calcium in your bones. But it's a conspiracy theory. Well, I have something to tell you. Guess who created the word conspiracy? You got it.